Buy, wait, or sell. What is the best strategy to utilize in this current market condition? Well, that's what we're going to discuss in today's show. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing. Theoretically, we're going to employ all three of those strategies. So smash the like button, hit the bell notification, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Also, vote in the poll over there what you're going to be doing in the short, the medium, and the long term. Let's get straight into the show content. Banter bubbles over here. A little bit of a pullback yesterday. One that actually got absolutely smashed was hype, right? So we'll talk about that. We'll have a look at hyperliquid as well. It seems like some are labeling it the FTX 2.0. It has the opportunity to be that. That is at least coming from somebody high up in BitGet, who wrote about that in a tweet. So we'll talk about that as well. We'll have a look at the chart. Let's get straight into it. First, I want to start off on the high time frame, specifically looking at the stock market. Remember, bearish divergence still present. Breakup structure is still there. This is a downtrend. You've rejected now off of the all-important 50% level. We said that was one of the potential areas, but let's see if it can consolidate, hold up here a little bit. Then it may actually put in another drive towards the upside. You may see something like that. Remember, we've got multiple different targets over here. Our job as a trader is to see how price reacts into each of those levels, and then you can play the probabilities. That's all that is, right? That is what trading is. You play the probabilities. So price comes into the 50% level, and you see, hey, on the low time frames, like the 5-minute chart, it's showing that it's rejecting. What do? You open up a hedge short trade with your stop loss slightly above, and then if price breaks down, well, now you have a free trade all the way down to the bottom, and immediately you reduce your risk by moving your stops into break even or slight profit so that you cover the trading fees for the stop loss. And then if you're wrong, so what? It puts in another bounce over here, and then you attempt to short that once again from the 618, and it will probably pull back a little bit. And if it spikes up one more time, your final line in the sand, if you were bearish on this, is going to be the daily fair value gap over here. Now, why are we talking about this? Why are we looking at the stock market? Remember, the stock market is driving the majority of the markets, right? It's going to heavily affect the crypto market as well. And we are seeing some serious warning signs on these stock markets, right? You have, for example, on the S&P 500, which is the chart that we just looked at. Now, remember, this has got a low time frame and a high time frame breakup structure on the daily and the weekly time frame. You have literally broken structure. You've created a lower low, which means you now need to look out for the lower high, right? There is something different that's happening. Not only that, but on the 3-week time frame, you have the MAC.D, which is now crossed towards the downside, just like it did at the end of 2021 leading into 2022. And of course, that was the bear market that led into a bear market for the stock market as well as crypto, pulling crypto down with it, right? Bitcoin at that point in time topped at $69,000, and the stock market obviously continued to draw down over the coming months, right? Pretty much for the majority of 2022, for one full year before you found a bottom, which was the crypto bear market, right? So a lot of important things to look at. MAC.D has crossed, and more importantly, the moving averages are coming from a serious height, right? Which means you're going to look for a move all the way back down to the 0 line, which means you don't want to fight the oil tanker turning, right? Remember, the oil tanker has turned the corner. If the oil tanker turns the corner, it's got serious momentum behind it. It doesn't simply just quickly turn back towards the upside, right? So you got the bearish cross. Nasdaq, same thing, right? You have the bearish cross. And you can see over here, it took 427 days before you reach the bullish cross once again, which theoretically could mean that you lead into a full-on bear market, right? So if something different is happening and we start to break back towards the upside, of course, we'll catch that move, right? This is why we play the market in both directions. And then you have Bitcoin doing exactly the same thing, right? Bitcoin putting in its second bearish cross of the cycle, just like you had here. This was the 65K top for Bitcoin. When the MAC.D crossed towards the downside, you got the bearish cross with those MAC.D moving averages. And then the second cross over there was the nail in the coffin at 69K, huge bearish divergence that led to price falling, right, for about a year in alignment and in unison with what the stock market was doing over there, right? So these are the things that we have to look at and we have to take seriously. Second bearish cross coming from a very serious height. You've crossed on your, at least your histogram as well towards the downside, and therefore that is pressure down in alignment with breakup structures on Bitcoin as well on the weekly time frame, right? So there it is. Here's our chart. This is one of our high time frame charts that we're looking at. Now, if you are to put in a lower high, I would anticipate it's going to happen within the next 2 weeks, right? So that would be the timing factor that you can throw in over there. In around about in the next 2 weeks, you could spike a little bit higher, right? You could even get, as high as pretty much this breakdown point over here, which is about 96,700. I can imagine the froth and the FOMO that will come into the market if you do see something like that. The important thing is this is still tradable, right? So I don't want to say that you don't want to play the long side at all. This is still perfectly tradable. If you actually close back above the pink box over there, that would actually be a bullish sign, where you can call this, a lot of people will be calling this a deviation or a swing failure pattern towards the downside. But we have to cross that road when it comes. We're not at that point in time. Right now, we've spent a lot of time underneath that level, and therefore that is resistance, right? Previous support, look at all those wicks. Now turning into potential resistance with some dangerous signs coming from the stock market and high time frame momentum oscillators, right? So there's Bitcoin as well. You do have over here on the sharpshooter indicator. This is coming from Jesse Olsen, so shout out to him identifying this. Sharpshooter sell signal, high time frame momentum oscillators. This means that all of your algorithms or your algo bots are starting to turn into sell bots, right? They're going to be selling. When they get these signals, these guys start to sell aggressively. They don't work on emotion. These sell bots work on probabilities and momentum, and the momentum is shifting, right? So now they're going to start to turn on those bots and they're going to start to aggressively sell. So again, what do? Wait, sell, buy. Wait, sell, buy. What are you going to do? Well, I think in the very short term, I guess I'll give the spoiler alert. In the very, very short term, you're probably waiting. Soon in the next couple of weeks or more the medium time frame, you're probably looking for a short sell if we do spike up a little bit higher. And then you're probably looking for one more buy, because there will be bounces along the way, and then you're going to go back to waiting. So there's a whole lot of trade opportunities that are going to be coming up, and it just depends on the time frame that you're looking at, right? As you can see over here, if we look at this indicator, again, it shows the change of character, break of structure, prices move towards the downside, and you do have your trend turning red. Which has happened previously. This has been corrective phases, and you can see sometimes these corrective phases could last for a couple of months, right? And that's where your long-term waiting comes into play, where you're looking for the optimal buy the dip zone. So volume still remains low. It's a little bit higher in terms of liquidations than what we saw yesterday. Yesterday we were under 200 million. Now we're back to that 260 million. But I do want to remind you, remember, usually we're seeing these billion-dollar liquidations, billion, over and over again. Because the market has become bigger and bigger in terms of stable coins have been growing. That's been actually one of crypto's biggest successes and use cases, right? So this is getting tighter and tighter, but it can remain tight for a long period of time. And consequently, I did say yesterday, don't short a dull market. So I wouldn't be shorting right now while things are flat. I'd rather wait for a little bit more excitement if I was going to actually take a swing short, right? Then we're looking for a bigger spike up, trap a few more longs over there, and then you can take the short trades, right? So volume still diminishing over here. You can see it's attempting to uptick. It's like ever so slightly. Went from 33.1 billion. This is exchange volume to 34.5. So adding a little bit more, and then you dropped again from 34.5 down to, or at least up to 34.52. So you added on 0.02 onto the volume over there. So very, very, very slight adjustments, but generally speaking, that's been a downtrend, right? Volume still diminishing over here. Still have the volume profile on the right side acting as resistance, and you're coming into that trend line over there, which is resistance, right? That is resistance. We've covered that over there. We said this is our optimal range. So remember, are you waiting? Are you selling, or are you buying? So I guess this is kind of the plan, right? You're looking at something like this. You're in the waiting game until you get maybe a spike up like this. Then you're in the selling game, and then you're in the buying game if it gets back down to the bottom over here. That's generally speaking the plan. I would like to see something like that. It's not to say that it has to happen. You might only see price do something like that, reaccumulate, and then you could start to break that structure. So a lot of moving parts, but don't forget the high time frames, right? The high time frames take time to play out, but they dictate the next couple of months, which I know the majority of you sitting over here watching right now are probably more in for the long term. You're in the long term game. You want to buy and hold a portfolio, and you just want to sit on your hands for a couple of months, right? So this is for you, right? This is very, very important that you focus on these things. This governs those downtrends over time, right? So cool, we're waiting for that. Let's see liquidation levels in the very short term. This is what could draw price into those high levels. You do have some short liquidations that are building up over here. These are short traders stop losses that are placed. So if you do get that spike up and then you slam back down, there might be an opportunity at about $85,000. And the reason why is this, right? You have a massive amount of Bitcoin orders. Each of these numbers represents one full Bitcoin, right? So you're talking about, I think it's something like, let me just see over here. You're talking about something like 7,400 Bitcoin sitting at this 85K region, which means if you do draw that liquidity over there, big spike up in the short term, slam it back down to about 85K, watch for a bounce. But remember, market makers trick a lot of people through something called spoofing. You need to watch these orders over here. This is dropped in Whale Room, by the way. I see in the comments you guys are asking, where can you get this data? You get this data in Whale Room. This is under our institutional chart section. And you get also all the high block capital information. This is paid data, right? You have to pay for this data, but if you of course jump into Whale Room, we share it with you with the interpretation on it daily for free. So pretty flat over here on the deltas across the board. Traders not really picking any sort of a side. The market usually moves towards or gravitates towards where the liquidity is highest in these types of environments, right? So you can see the liquidity building there, about 40 million, maybe a move up to the upside first, grab some of that and then slam it back down. But watch out for the spoofing from the market makers, that they don't pull these orders off the book as they approach, because sometimes that's what they do to trap people, right? Cool. Next, very, very important, guys. This is an absolute no-brainer, right? I dropped this in the Whale Room Discord yesterday. I joined the L-Bank competition. It's an absolute no-brainer because it's exclusive only to you, the viewers, right? So all you have to do, think of it like this: your risk to reward is 1 to 40, right? Because there's 3 traders that are going to split $3,500 for the winning. Plus, you get massive sign-up bonuses over here. You're getting 50% sign-up bonuses on top of your deposit. So meaning if you deposit $100, they're going to give you $50 as well, right? So what it means over here, if you risk $50 for a shot at the 2,000, which is your first place prize, that's giving you a 1 to 40 risk to reward. But you're not competing with a massive amount of people, because this is only exclusive to my show. I'm the only person in the world that has this on offer. There is a couple of days left that you can join. There's a link in the description below. 2-step process. Step 1, sign up, make a small deposit, even just $50, right? Step 2, enter the competition over there and join us, right? Join us over there. So 4 days, 2 hours left to go in this competition. Remember, the first 1,000 people as well. By the way, if you're in the first 1,000 to deposit and KYC, you don't have to KYC, but if you do, you'll receive $50 cash back, right? If you are depositing under $3,000, you're getting a 50% sign-up deposit. So they're giving you an additional 50% on top of whatever you deposit. So if you deposit $1,000, they'll give you $500 with that. If you're depositing more than that, more than 3,000, so let's say you're a whale and you're depositing $100,000, you'll get 20% rebate, meaning you get $20,000 on top of the bonus, and you can actually use that to trade with, right? So all the links are below. Read up about it. Everything is there for you. Join into the competition. We are going to be trading that for the next couple of days. You have very, very, very good odds of winning. And let's get into the altcoins, right? So if we look at the altcoins, the RSI heat map shows most of the altcoins are now sitting kind of moving out of that weak zone into the neutral. You have your weekly, which is still very much in the weak zone. Let's have a look quickly at the 4-hour, moving into strong. So you can see there is bounces which are in play. Definitely there are bounces in play. If you look over here on the hourly, you're getting some big moves over here. There are definitely bounces, right? Monthlies, most of the coins are still down. Weeklies, again, starting to move towards the upside. So you can see over here, if we look at something like Solana, it has been holding that range low support. I do still believe if Bitcoin puts in another leg down, it's really possible that you see Solana move all the way down to about $80. That would be wiping out all of these traders who obviously have their hard stops and soft stops placed underneath these wicks over here. So I could see quite easily the market makers coming and basically just sweeping those guys out of their positions, something like this, and then a move back up. If you reclaim, that becomes a strong buy the dip zone, right? So this is a downtrend. Don't get confused. Remember, until such time as you break above this level, which is your previous month's mid-range, Solana is theoretically in a downtrend. Sui started to put in a really nice move. This came absolutely perfectly into the horizontal support. You've broken that downsloping trend line. You've deviated back into the trading range. And this can squeeze significantly, right? You can squeeze all the way up to about $3 over there and still have bearish price structure. So just understand that, understand the broader scheme of things, where the market is at, so that you don't get too caught up in, the pumps, right? Play the pumps, play the moves towards the upside, but don't necessarily expect that you're going to do this, right? Because I think this is what some people think. Some people look at these charts and they think, it broke the trend line and this is next. That's probably not going to happen, at least not in a straight line. If it was, there would be signs with ebbs and flows along the way, right? But again, you'd be fighting this. You'd be fighting these stock market trends that have turned towards the downside, as well as the crypto trends as well. All right, let's have a look at some of the other trades over there. Let's quickly see what Hype looks like. Where's that Hype trade? There we go. Let's have a look at Hype. So Hype yesterday broke down. It's been in a downtrend anyway, theoretically. They did save it. They jumped in over here at about 12.34 with some big buys that stepped in over there. But I would wait a couple of days before jumping into anything like this. Understand you're still fighting a downtrend. This has been a strong move towards the downside. All that you had to defend this price action over here, chart-wise, was a little bit of an order block, right? Remember, the people that got airdropped this got in at about $3. So they still up heavily, right? They got airdropped it and immediately the market launched at about $3. People started to buy in over there, which means that, if these guys threaten those levels once again, you could easily see this drop lower. Okay, so that is Hype. What else do we have over here? Let's see. Let's see Sonic over here on the low time frame. Okay, Sonic still pressing up a little bit. You got your previous month's mid-range. That's going to be a significant level. Remember, you do also have a daily fair value gap, which is going to provide as resistance coming into that zone. So you can see it pretty clearly over here. Here is your daily fair value gap. That is a massive amount of resistance, right? So if Sonic can start to push through that, that's going to be looking good. I personally would wait on this one. I'd wait for lower prices, see if it puts in a higher low around the Monday low. That's about 52 cents. It's going to take time to get through this. I don't expect this to push through like a hot knife through butter. This is your order block that led to the breakdown. Therefore, this is theoretically a bearish retest as well. So some have caught up quicker than others. This would be the equivalent of Bitcoin now pushing up to about $92,000, right? And then if it gets up here, that would be the equivalent of Bitcoin trading at about $96,000. All right, let's see. Let me know in the comments. I'm checking the comments. Any other chart requests, anything specific you want to have a look at? Let's quickly see how some of the, the large cap meme coins are doing. Has anything exciting happened over there? Let's also have a look at some of the AI agents, right? Let me know in the comments over there. Okay, so this was a trade that we gave on 𝗡𝗡. It is up. You are in profit if you did take this trade. I'll definitely eliminate the risk, right? So there we go. You can't lose. You don't want to break below that level again. Even theoretically, you can move into slight profit. You don't want to break below yesterday's low. So this trade's working out. You've broken above the Monday high. Let's see if it can hold that. This can trade easily up to the previous month's mid-range. And then theoretically, that's still, again, a bearish retest. So let's have a look at some of these other things like virtuals. Remember, virtuals was the platform that launched the AI agents. Have they caught any sort of a bounce? Because these dropped heavily. Remember, from high down to low, that's bear market stuff. 90% down. Absolutely massive. And now you're just consolidating. Remember, I pulled out the Wall Street cheat sheet at the time. And I told you guys, I literally said, this really could have been the absolute parabolic blow off top, leading into a complacency bounce. And then you still need to go through depression Remember, you go through that panic, anger. So there it would be, this is more like panic. Now you're in anger, and then you lead into depression. So I think this has gone through that depression. So watch for a little bit of reaccumulation and then some sort of a relief rally on these coins. Just map them out on your chart, mark off a couple of levels, look for some low time frame reaccumulation and some high lows to start to form over there. All right, render. We can have a look at render. I think I looked at render like 2 or 3 days ago and it was coming directly into resistance, but let's pull it up nevertheless. Let's see over here. So render, this is the problem, right? You need to go look back on where these charts are. These things have been hit pretty hard. And theoretically, this is going to be a major resistance, right? You coming directly into resistance. This was your major supports previously, right? Consolidates, leads into the big move up, support, and now you've lost that and you're coming directly into that, which is now theoretically underside resistance. So depending on which chart you're looking at, you're going to use the buy, wait, or sell strategy differently. Like this, theoretically, I'd be looking for a sell opportunity. I'd be looking to short this, right? As long as you maintain below, specifically, I would say the previous month's mid-range, 467, it's bearish, and I'd be looking for low prices on something like that. Okay, what else? What else do we have over there? Let me know in the comments. Let's see, just scrolling through. Would you have anything else for us hardest? Just put them on the screen over there and we can pull them up. Let's see what FOG's doing. Okay, FOG also absolutely annihilated over here, moving through that depression phase. And usually this takes time, right? This is what I want to be clear about. These things unwound very, very, very quickly. Look at the time that it took to create this move. Usually you're going to take about 2 to 3 times longer than that to play out your reaccumulation, right? So, this thing could reaccumulate for the whole year, which is why moving into being a range trader can serve you very, very well, right? Buying support and short selling resistance. While we wait for that to come up, I do want to let you guys know as well, there is an opportunity with Ledger over here where if you do buy a Ledger, you'll get $70 worth of Bitcoin on the Ledger Flex as well. So use the link in the description below. We don't get anything out of this, by the way. They give you an additional $10 on top of that if you do follow, what do they call this program again when it comes to the Ledger? If you do this, there it is, the recovery, right? Ledger recovery. You get an extra $10 worth of Bitcoin with that. I wouldn't do that if I were you, right? Personally, I'd protect my own keys. Unless this is like a trading wallet or something for you that you connect to a Phantom and you use that to trade with, fair enough. Otherwise, if I was you, I would, if you do buy this, just take your $70. Don't do the recovery. That is Ledger. The link is in the description below. Okay, we got some coin options over here. We got Jasmy, XRP, AVAX. Let's go through to it. Let's go to XRP, right? XRP first. So XRP, there it is. Let's see. Cool. XRP is still holding up over here. It has been theoretically one of the stronger ones. It's recently shown some signs of weakness with, that lower high structure forming very, very similar to Bitcoin. But, this is your major range low. I would say we got the sweep. That was your swing failure pattern that came down to set in the previous month's mid-range. Let's just clean that up. We're actually targeting that, right? We're targeting that as 50% of that wick, and you came back and you tested some of that. I wouldn't really get long on XRP until it broke the structure, and it's probably needs to do that at the same time as Bitcoin, right? So if Bitcoin starts to break structure, reclaim some key levels, new volume comes into the market, and XRP puts in a big candle over here, great. Then you have a long opportunity. If that long plays out, you have a massive bull flag that would theoretically take this up to about $4.70, which would be a sizable move. But let's call it from confirmation. Depending on when that happens, you could get a 79% move. But if Bitcoin breaks down, it's unlikely that it's going to play ball, on its own. Okay, Jasmy. Let's go to Jasmy. That was the other request. And then AVAX. Okay, Jasmy, pretty dismal over here. It's been absolutely crushed. I think this could easily come down into this region over here. You can see this was major support previously. Let's throw a horizontal in there. You could work your way back down here, especially if Bitcoin drops to 72. Then you're looking at about 0.008, right? That would be brutal. Let's actually measure that out and see how far down it is. that would be like another 37% down. That's really, really, really possible. This is a downtrend, right? Lower lows and lower highs. All you have to do if you are confused with the trend is go through over here, change onto a line chart, and then you just look, right? That's your last lower high, lower low, lower highs, lower lows. So you expect over here, you would need to take out 0.014, right? To change that. Okay, cool. The other one was AVAX. Let's have a look at AVAX. There's AVAX. Okay, AVAX did break structure as well. It's still in a downtrend, but at least it broke this downsloping trend line, which shows a momentum shift, right? It doesn't show V-shaped recoveries from that point. It shows a momentum shift. Again, use Bitcoin as your guide. The way that we look at the stock market as our guide for Bitcoin, you can look to Bitcoin as your guide for the rest of the altcoins, right? So if Bitcoin comes down and you see AVAX do something like this, but maintain those lows, then theoretically in the short to medium time frame, you probably have a long trade opportunity where you can, again, trade this to the previous month's mid and then even possibly to the yearly open. AVAX has a lot of work to do until such time as it gets back above this zone, right? This is a little bit of underside resistance. It's also your previous month's high and it's the yearly open. So for AVAX to move into any sort of a swing trade, you know, you need to see something like that. And there will still be dips along the way. It will take time, right? You can see if I draw this out, assuming you follow this like massive pump now all of a sudden, you know, this takes time. You could only be around mid-year before you start to move into a proper swing trade over there. So I feel like swing trade longs are off the table. You really need to be looking for shorter term trades. You're in, you're out. That's why join into 𝗪𝗻, right? If you have a look over here, Josh, one of our traders over there, you know, 503% trade, getting it from pretty much the Pico bottom over there on this trade. This is a long trade from one of our coaches. If you do jump into 𝗪𝗻, all of this information is here, right? Let's see, what else do we have in his group? Let's see. He says over here, where's this? Kyledoops is literally my hero. Can you believe that? Look at that. What a guy. What a guy. He writes in his own channel, Kyledoops is literally my hero. What a legend. Thank you very much for that commentary, Josh. We do appreciate you. All right, guys, that's it from me. Let's cut it off over there. I will see you all on the next one. I won't be doing a show tomorrow morning, but I'll be joining with the rest of the guys. We're doing a group show, right? Like a Banter Friday. I'll see you all there. Have a great day and cheers for now.